Can you see that on the screen?
Oh, there I am.
Oh, it's been a long time, Webs. It's been a while. It's been a while. We should, this is
Uh,
it's been a
Gotta
month.
blow the dust off.
Yeah, we took a whole month off, dude. It was, yeah, wow, yeah, yeah, yeah. That's all we can say at this point. Um, we're back, and if you're in Clark County School District, you just finished your first week of school, which could have been eventful or not so much. Seating charts and coughing and all kind of stuff. Indeed, indeed. But the other thing that
I gotta
go ahead.
say, I'm not. I wasn't. I was definitely empathizing, but I wasn't missing that anxiety.
It definitely was not fun at all. Now I'm not gonna say that the kids were great. I did have some fun
Kids,
doing doing some dope logos and stuff, but yeah, it was not the most. It was a very stressful environment. Extremely so. Extremely so. I can't kid myself. It was an extremely stressful environment, and for the most part, I think the kids did pretty well. There was some bumps. Um, I don't know. It's a systems issue, Webs, and I guess as system thinkers, it confuses and befuddles me. I'll use the SAT word. It befuddles me very greatly that there's toxic positivity all the time, but no system building to ensure that the the rationalization process that happens with, oh yeah, we'll go and get them a next time, that we learn from that and say, the next time we won't have to have toxic positivity in the system because there will be actual positivity. We did it, we fixed it, that was a problem, now let's go forward. You know what I'm saying? And now I guess that's a frustrating thing for your boy. It's extremely frustrating. Extremely.
yeah.
But it's neither here nor there. We're going to talk a little bit for the next whatever shows about the elephant in the room, the Canvas mandate, and yeah, man, we don't have to. One of the things that is hilarious is this um, expectation, real or imagined, that you have to know all of the Canvas things and be able to use all the Canvas things, or you don't use Canvas at all. I think that is unfortunately like the juxtaposition a lot of people are in. I don't know how to use this, so I won't. And so we're gonna kind of look at.
Or
Go ahead, Wes.
why would I need this if I'm in person, if I'm face to
That
face?
is another.
I see a lot of folks make that, you know, argument or whatever, that I don't need this virtual learning management system because my students will always be face to face.
This is also true, and so yes, we will converse about that a little bit as well because the learning management system, true to its name, is to manage learning, and you can define managing learning in a lot of ways, but one of the ways is, and this is something I was going to tweet, but I didn't know how to like articulate this in the way that I can speak it right. The default should be asynchronous learning. The default should be asynchronous. It should be, if I sprain my ankle and I can't get to school, I can still participate in my class and learn exactly what was happening in the class, regardless of whether there's a pandemic or not. That should be the default. If I'm there in person, the materials are still online, so I can go at my own pace and I can converse with my friends about collaborating or whatever. And everyone has the same. We're cutting down on paper that way. We're cutting down on frustration, and we don't have to totally rely on um, lecture style teaching where a kid might miss something and suddenly that's in the ether and I can't, like, what did you say? And the teacher doesn't even remember what they said because it was like 5 minutes ago, and suddenly there's this gap in learning, in terms of the student not being able to acquire what's necessary to prove mastery, right? And yeah, I just it again, I will use the befuddle word again. It befuddles me that again, we are not we didn't learn certain truths about learning, education rather, over that 18 months when we were isolated from one another. That asynchronous learning is the future. That's the way that things are going should be going. And sure, teachers are very important. Not saying that teachers are important, but it is utilizing your time efficiently to be able to, in classes of 25, 30, 35, 40, 45 students, efficiently, excuse me, allow students to go at their own pace. So there's not this speed racer, approach to things. And if you didn't get it, then, tough, which was my high school experience until I got into IB. It was, it's 60 people in this classroom. There's no learning happening here because the one person in the room, the one person in the room that knows what we're supposed to be learning is, trying to put out fires because there's so many conversations happening. People aren't paying attention, etc. How can we mitigate that? Every kid was given a Chromebook in Clark County. Every kid has a device.
I was really surprised because I was talking to a friend of mine about this, and one of the sort of advantages to remote that she appreciated was she no longer had to worry as much about classroom management because you had kids were at their homes. So if that kid decided to get up and wander away or go mess around in the kitchen or whatever, it was as simple as muting the microphone and class could continue without having to worry about, mitigating all the things that come with in-person classroom management. And likewise, if kids needed to get up and use the restroom or get a snack, they could just do so. And it wasn't some big disruption or distraction. Like they could just go have their needs met and come back and things could continue on. So the teacher was really given the opportunity to focus just on the teaching piece. So I think there are benefits as much as I know folks, it's always frustrating. And I try to share this with my friends who are learning new technologies. Like it's going to be frustrating. As adults, things are a given for us. We are so used to already having mastery that, I disappeared.
Yeah.
Can you still hear me though?
Yeah.
I'm speaking from the great beyond. But yeah, like as adults, we're used to being good at things. So having to be in that position where you're not automatically really good at something and you have to work your way through the frustration of learning again makes a lot of adults quit because they're so uncomfortable with being in the learner position again and not being dexterous with whatever that skill is, that it leads them to frustration and they quit. Or there's like this emotional transfer of your frustration turns into this thing is bad. So it's not that I'm inadequate. It's that technology is bad. It's that this way of doing things is bad. It's not as good as the way we used to do things. This happens anytime Apple updates any of their iOS stuff or whatever. If a button moves around on an interface, people get super upset about it until they get used to it. And then they're like, oh, okay. And most of the time it's better. Not all the time, but most of the time it's better.
What I'll say about, so this goes back to another conundrum in education, right? That in between, there's an off season between school years, right? There's a period of time in which there are no students present, in which plans can be made, in which things can be changed, et cetera, et cetera. However, that interregnum, that brief period between school years, that's not enough time to try to make wholesale changes in systems, right? It has to be like a planned out, like Apple doesn't say we're going to on Tuesday we're going to change how this button works, and then on Wednesday do it, right? There's some testing, there's some like, all right, does this work? Let's talk to people. Nah, that doesn't work. People don't like what that was. Hey, this is a little bit better because this is better, more accessible, or it just makes more logical sense here, or whatever. It's not as simply a switching of a switch and saying, yep, now this is the deal, right? And that's, I guess, is where, as users in the system that is education, you kind of get frustrated in terms of you're not very often consulted, right? In terms of, yeah, I understand what we're trying to achieve, but that may not be the way to do it because that doesn't make sense for all the plethora of individuals who are either resistant or need extra care in order to have these things done, right? And so I think that there is a nuance to how education works in that you're talking about, especially a school system as large as ours. Like, to move an inch, you're moving 40,000 people. Like, it's a lot of folks, right? And so, like the show tonight and for the next couple shows that we have, it's going to be like, you don't have to know all the stuff. How can we hack it so that you can be comfortable but still be under the mandate that you've been given, right? And so Webb's to kind of start tonight. Wrong one. The idea of acquiring or being asked to learn new software as a technologist, like, what would you, how would you advise people to say, this is a new thing I have to learn that happens to be, I may not be comfortable utilizing technology in the first place. I have this new mandate. What is some advice that you would give people?
I mean, I don't think learning a new technology is really any different than learning anything new. Step one is, what background knowledge do you have that applies here? So something that I find really fascinating with folks who claim that they are like not technology people or that they struggle with technology is like they use technology in their everyday. I see these same folks check their email, they do their banking online, that kind of a thing. All the necessary functions of everyday life. And but then when they're given something along the lines of Canvas or whatever, they get really frustrated. And I think some of that is just maybe not having an awareness of like what you already know and what you already have in common, or like what patterns you're used to. And I know I've mentioned this on the show before, but like step one is just, what do you already know that you can probably apply to this situation? So, for example, a friend of mine just shared with me a new framework that could potentially replace the framework I'm using for a project. Well, the first thing I do is, okay, how does this current one, this new one, compare to what I was using? How does it, like, does it actually do the same things? Am I comparing apples to apples? Like, first kind of getting the lay of the land. Like, what is the purpose of this thing? Is it trying to achieve the same ends as the original product I was using? And I think the same would apply anytime you're going to a new tool or a new website. Like, how is it set up? What is it used for? And does that actually like serve the need I want to use it for? And then getting your bearings of, where's the home button? Is it a sign in, sign out thing? How do you add a new something or other? Like, how do you get back to where you were before? What does each of the menus mean? And I guess that leads into my next big thing is like, just click around. When you're talking specifically about new technology, just click around and see what's available to you. Figure out where things are. It's kind of like when you get into a rental car and you kind of have to figure out like, okay, I know this is a car. I know it has some sort of a gear shifter, whether it's manual or automatic. I know it has a steering wheel. I know I need a seat belt. I know I need blinkers. I might need my windshield wipers. Let me figure out where all those things are and how to turn them on and off before I decide to pull out into traffic, right? Let me figure those things out first. So don't be afraid to click around and explore. You're not going to break things. Like, the things that break things are like delete. That's about it. And most places nowadays, when you go to delete something, it has you like, are you sure? Are you sure you want to delete though? Some things like on GitHub, you even have to like type in the name of the repository you want to delete. So you're extra credit sure that's the thing you want to delete. Not every place has that extreme of a level of stuff, but it's really hard to break stuff. It just is. Like on most tools, like, and this is coming from somebody who could literally bring down an entire company by my deleting something, and I don't even worry about deleting things. So I would say starting with figuring out your bearings. Is this thing, what do you know about what this thing does already? If you don't know, then go jump right into poking around and clicking on stuff and kind of make a note of like, oh, okay, that's probably a feature I'm going to need. That's where I add my widgets. So I'm just going to keep a mental note, like that's where adding widgets goes. If you forget, just keep clicking around. You'll find it eventually. Usually stuff is grouped like in a way that makes sense. So like if you think about, a lot of people are familiar with Microsoft Word, right? Microsoft Word follows a pattern that a lot of other programs follow. Up at the top, you have file, edit, view, maybe tools or review or whatever. Like you have all your menus up at the top, and then it tells you what each of the things, like there's more choices underneath. That's a pattern that like every operating system and program and even website, if you go to Google Docs, it's exactly the same. File, blah, 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 like all your little tabs are across the top. Same pattern. The little Rubik's Cube shape thing or waffle or whatever people want to call it. The hamburger menu. These are common icons for a reason because we can rely on these patterns. You're more than likely going to find your login, log out button or your profile button or your home button in either the upper right or upper left corner of your website. Like, that's just a given. If it's not there, then okay, that's kind of weird. But there are patterns. Like, there are patterns for a reason. If you look at Twitter or Facebook or Reddit or anything else that's like micro blogging type platform, you have the little box in the middle where you type your thoughts and then you hit post.
Yep.
Like that's a common pattern. So there are these common patterns that persist. And if you know what your limitations are, and if you start getting frustrated, stop. That would be my last piece of advice. Just recognize when you're starting, because pushing past that point of frustration is only going to make you get even more upset about the task that you're doing.
Facts. I mean, I think all of that, and as a teacher who has limited time, how can you go vegan? And I decided to use that phraseology, cut the beef out, right? Just cut it out. All the fat and stuff that we don't want inside of the situation. How do we cut the fat, the beef, cut the beef? All I want is point A to point Z with no fat in between. I already have what I want. Go ahead.
Avocados are a good source of vegan fat, so you don't have to cut all the fat out. I will go with cut the beef, or the chicken, beef, or fish.
Cut the meat. And avocados are. I don't think I can eat avocados every day.
No, definitely not. I don't think they're meant to be eaten every day. I mean, maybe. I remember there's a time I tried this recipe where you cracked an egg into an avocado and then you baked it. And I thought that was good, and it wasn't. It really wasn't.
I don't like eggs.
It wasn't good.
I can only
with bacon on top at that. So just giant old fat bomb.
Oh my God. Yeah, like that. I thought the whole point was to like eat healthier if you were vegan, right? Isn't that the whole point?
What is healthy?
Yeah, I guess.
Vegan doesn't instantly mean healthy. Like that's a whole other category.
Yeah, but I mean, when people talk about veganism, like a lot of athletes are going to veganism because they're losing weight and I feel better about myself, et cetera, et cetera. And so I guess you subconsciously ascribe the reason why one would go vegan is for healthier options in eating food. I guess so. I mean, we're not on the food thing anyway. I just kind of ascribe that to one of the things that's really frustrating. Generally, is first of all, teachers have very limited amount of time in order to acquire new skills. Right? You're in school from 7 hours and 11 minutes. A lot of people have second jobs. You have your own kids. You don't have time to go to wholesale take coursework and try to figure things out. So how can you use the skills that you already have in order to still again fulfill mandates? All right. And that's what we're going to kind of explore over the next couple shows. And yeah, so our problem here is again, you don't got time to learn all of the intricacies of Canvas. And as I've said 5 billion times, there are only two. Canvas is a great program to know. Great if you learn how to sit down and knock it out. But there's two main advantages to using Canvas. That the two things that you want to exploit. One, it rosters your students automatically. Google Classroom didn't do that. You had to invite people or manually add the kids to the thing. Automatically rosters a kid, and when a kid leaves your class, it takes the kid out of your class automatically as well. Very, very convenient, right? I don't have to memorize who's in there and, oh, this kid is no longer at our school, let me take him out. Totally works, right? The other thing is the grading situation. And even that you can probably slide on if you didn't want to deal with that. Because it's connected to your Infinite Campus, the grade pass back is something there. Webbs, you look like you're going to say something.
Yeah, so I was gonna say, like, so the point you're making just before this was like, if I were to use a tool, let's say that I don't know, I'm gonna use Google Last Room, which is not quite an LMS, but I have to manually roster Google Last Room though, and if Jimmy were to leave my class, I would also have to remember to manually take him out. Whereas if I'm relying on, if I'm pseudo using Canvas still, then it'll take Jimmy out of my class automatically. I don't have to worry about it. I can just focus on the content.
Absolutely. So, I mean, again, it automates some things for you, therefore lowering your metacognitive load, which is what the learning management system is supposed to do in the first place. How can I take certain things, menial tasks, tasks that are repetitive, let's take those off the plate so I don't have to worry about them. Canvas does that very well. Now, the other things though, you still have to upload coursework to Canvas and get things in. And that's when kind of that learning curve comes in, right? Embedding things and putting things on pages and stuff like that. But you probably have a ton of stuff that you created over the pandemic that you might not want to transfer to Canvas. You might not know how to transfer to Canvas, but are still things that you were like, yep, I'm very interested in utilizing this stuff. It's already built for me. I've got long range plans. I've got, units already built. I just don't know how to take those to Canvas. And frankly, I don't have time to do that. Totally cool.
Also,
gotcha. Yep.
For our poor CCSD elementary friends, 3 days before the beginning of school, the entire thing changed format. So you may be feeling especially frustrated.
So it looks different as well, right? And the other thing we have to do is we have to have some empathy for everyone in the system, right? So you have students, especially K-5, who perhaps didn't use Canvas last year. You might not be astute enough to be able to walk a kid through Canvas and problem solve through there. So it might be best for all people involved, especially K-5, to not use Canvas as dynamically as perhaps it could be used. Just because we don't want people being confused, we don't want parents being confused, we don't want added frustration, and still a very vulnerable time in our country in terms of just people getting sick, people knowing people that are sick. You got the eviction moratorium on and off. You have a lot of very, very high stressed individuals in the system. How can we go and make sure that school doesn't add undue stress to the users in the system? Yeah. Webbs, anything to add to that?
Yeah, I think that something to consider too is like, it doesn't have to be an all or nothing thing. I think in past episodes of the show, even we've talked about centering, shifting your practice, creating asynchronous curriculum, but maybe you just need a place to start. Maybe your 1% is just what we're going to show you tonight, and that's totally fine. Like, some progress is better than no progress at all, and ultimately it should lighten your load a bit, because then in the event there is a pivot, who knows if there's going to be or not, you will have your stuff already set up. It's kind of like the conversation we were having at the top. even though the thought is, oh, we're face to face, I don't need to do virtual stuff anymore. Just having that accessible not only to students but to parents can be really helpful. I know for myself personally, when I was still in the classroom, I used Google Classroom. I had an assistant. I probably told the story before. I had the assistant principal come to me and say, hey, Jimmy's parents are saying that you never gave him any of the assignments. I had the receipts because I was using Google Classroom. So I could show them, hey, every other kid submitted this assignment. Jimmy did not. He got the same instruction as everyone else. So you can't say like, oh, he lost it, or no, it was digitally there. You don't have to worry about, oh, he spilled Kool-Aid on it and now we need to make him a new copy, or it got lost in his desk, or the dog ate it, or somebody stole it, or whatever. It got shredded in one way or another. It's always there. You have infinite copies, and you don't have to worry about dragging them around in one of those little like cart things. It's always available, and you can just bring it up on your device, your phone, whatever, and be like, hey, here's your assignment, enjoy.
Big facts. And so the strategy we're going to kind of look at tonight is clever. Every teacher and every student in the Clark County School District has a Clever account. This is one of the reasons why this is a great strategy to experiment with if you are having Canvas issues. Just like Canvas, Clever automatically rosters your classroom. So all your students are present in Clever under your name. So there is a class that says Mr. Lane's class, or whatever classes I'm teaching. All the kids in all of those sections are already in Clever. Super convenient. Now, Clever is a lot easier to navigate than Canvas is, which is, potential, problem solving solution number one. A lot easier. It's also kind of more elementary friendly, right? You can change the icons for the classes. You can do a lot of stuff. It's really kind of an easier navigation situation. I know last year at my elementary school, we used Canvas a lot in order to just, especially K1, to ensure that the kindergartners and first graders who are functionally illiterate in a lot of places, who their ELL, they're an EL kid in kindergarten, first grade has a even smaller vocabulary in their native language than a kid perhaps who's in 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th grade. So you have even those kind of things that could be mitigated. But as you're going to see tonight, we can do a lot in Clever to utilize the ease of Clever's interface for your instruction and still benefit from Canvas's ability for the grade pass back, and just like Webb said, in terms of having receipts for assignments, be able to utilize the receipt network there so that parents know, okay, these are the things that need to pop off. All right, so that's kind of what we're going to experiment with tonight, and we've got about half an hour. We should be good to go. Webb, is there anything to add on that?
No, I'm good. Let's show the people the things.
All right, so let's kind of look at the process here. You're going to need a couple things. First, if you're in the Clark County School District, your Google password or your Google account is the key to everything. So students, every last one of your students should have their Google accounts set up and ready to roll. All right, shouldn't be a problem there. If they don't have Google accounts after that last 18 months, you really need to kind of have a come to Jesus meeting with the entire system at your school building in terms of this is something that's there. Kids can reset their own passwords, so you as the teacher, you don't have to rely on the Google controller or anything to reset passwords. That's not something that's necessary anymore. If you go to myaccount.ccsd.net, and this is one of the things I had to do all last week, so I am very versed on this situation. You as a classroom teacher can open Infinite Campus in one browser tab and myaccount.ccsd.net in the other, and you can manually reset every last one of your students' passwords. So you do not need your SPT, you do not need anyone else. All the information that you need to reset a kid's password is in Infinite Campus. That would be their address, that would be their guardian's phone number, the student number, all that wonderful stuff is right there. And I sat with 6th, 7th, 8th graders all last week and manually reset passwords. It'll take you 5 or 6 minutes a kid. Now, that being the case, once you're inside of Google, everything is kind of straightforward, because hopefully, and this is the part that we can't demonstrate, you have to have stuff prepared, right? That's kind of the secret sauce here. It's not magic where, hey, I don't have my Google Slides or Google Docs or the websites or any of the materials that I have, and then suddenly this thing's going to automatically do things for me. That is not the case here, right? So unfortunately, a lot of the Canvas courses that I saw, or whatever, they were speaking. They didn't walk people through the actual pedagogical reasons why Canvas should be used, or learning management systems, or whatever else other tools are. And I constantly get frustrated with that, Webs, in terms of like, here is tool, use tool. And you're like, all right, nah. I mean,
here are all the features of said tool, and you need to know all of them.
why do I care about the tool? The only reason we do anything is to solve a problem that we have, right? I have a problem, hence I solve it. I don't care about any extenuating circumstances outside of I am hungry. Okay, I open the refrigerator. There's food in there. I don't care if the dog needs to be walked or my kid. The the problem to be handled right now is I am hungry. I will cook food and I will deal with other problems later on. So this is kind of how I generally approach things, especially technologically. I have a problem. I Google search for that specific problem. I find a tool that solves that problem, and I don't really care about the rest of the stuff. I will, when I have another problem and I need those tools, then I will utilize those tools to solve that problem. In this case, it is how, again, I don't want to spend 75 million years trying to understand how all the intricacies of Canvas, because first of all, it's not necessary. Second of all, if you're looking at your users, which K5 are going to be kids who are probably not familiar with Canvas, how do we simplify this process so we're not adding frustration to their process of learning whatever we're trying to teach them? What say you, Webbs?
Yeah, I think that knowing what strategy you're going to suggest, it cuts down significantly on just having to use the navigation in Canvas at all. And really, essentially, you're only using Canvas as a dumping ground for assignments. And you're using Really Clever as the place where you put the step-by-step instructions on what to do. And kind of going back to what you were saying about, yeah, this isn't some kind of magical, you wave the wand and suddenly all of your curriculum is created, but you were always going to have to create curriculum. Like that was never going to change. So if you have a worksheet and you can scan it in and, use 1, 2, 3 apps or something for kids to respond on it, is it ideal? Is it best practice? No, but will it start getting you there? Yes. So that's fine.
So we're going to actually start in Canvas because it's kind of important that you know what the end is before you know the root, right? So we want to know what is the ultimate goal here so that I still satisfy the districts. You must use Canvas, right? I want to be in compliance technically.
I think it's more than that though, because it's a benefit to be able to have assignments that exist in Canvas and take advantage of the grade pass back. So yes, it is about compliance, but it's also an advantage to you as a teacher because now you're going to be able to take those assignments and do the grade pass back and just grade them right in Canvas versus having a completely separate, I'm going to hand grade this and then I got to put it into Canvas and then it has to go to IC. Like now you're cutting out extra steps of that process.
Big facts.
Less Dennis the Menacing, as my friend Rose says.
All right, so this is Canvas. All right, wonderful, fine, Jandy. Now I'm going to show
so many pop-ups.
I'm going to show you a strategy that you should use immediately. Like, do not pass go. Do it immediately. So I've got 5 million sandbox courses here. Give me a second. All right, so I'm going to create.
Also worth pointing out is that you are on the middle school version of Canvas.
So this is the secondary version. So secondary and the professional version. So PDE courses are going to look like mine. If you're an elementary school teacher, yours will look different, which Yeah. So don't get and thinking now, if you are a secondary teacher, this is going to work perfectly. If you are an elementary school teacher, this is not going to work because they took the concept that I'm going to demonstrate away from you. So I'm going to go and log into the elementary version and kind of show you how you can quasi do this. Now, the big thing here if you're secondary is start with the syllabus page on the left hand. Do not create any, go right to the syllabus. And you're going to go to the syllabus for multiple reasons, the chief being this course summary situation here. That's going to show every assignment, the date it was given, and the date it was due. So students immediately on the first page of your deal are going to see all of my assignments. That's going to be a very, 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 very powerful tool in the way that we're kind of shifting your use of Canvas here. That way, parent automatically knows these were all the assignments. These were the due dates for the assignments. I don't have to go look for anything. I'm not looking in modules or anything. It's all there in the front. So I'm going to edit this very, very quickly. All right, cool. And welcome. Here are your assignments. All right, cool. And that's just what we're going to do. Great. Fine, Danny. Cool. Now I'm going to go to pages here. When we go to pages, be nice if I saved that. I did save it. Pages. That's not what I want to do. There we go. I'm going to choose my home page and I'm going to choose my syllabus as my home page. Sometimes my brain gets rewired. Anyway, that's going to stay there. So again, as soon as the kid logs in, I've got all of the assignments there on the front. I've got my calendar over here so I know what day. Here's the date and the details. It's going to detail the assignment. That's the due date. And then the calendar is right there. So I don't have to do anything there. If I need to make announcements, I can make announcements right on that front page and all that wonderful stuff. Great. Now, in terms of you setting up, again, that backwards assessment model, you just need to know what assignments you want the kids to be able to do, right? So we'll go ahead to modules. And I'm going to say, unit 1.
Do you have to do an entire module? Can you just make them standalone pages?
You can make them standalone pages. The reason why I would do the modules would be just for organizational purposes. Now, if you do the standalone pages, I mean, it still works. So one of the things in terms of longevity, so if you're talking about not having to do this over and over again, if you go and organize them nicely, because my assumption is you're going to have multiple assignments in a unit, right? If you organize them nicely in units, first of all, I can copy and send these very, very nicely if I'm send it to a friend or whatever, and I can give them that entire unit's worth of assessments or assignments or whatever you're talking about. Really,
so it's nice. Like a binder, like the way that we used to do units in a binder.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a lot easier to deal with in terms of just organization. Now, I'm not the king of outside of technology organization, even email organization, but in terms of my Canvas courses, I like things to be nice and neat so that if I need to copy and paste them or download them or whatever, everything is there together. So I don't like loose pages generally. I'm assuming other people have other philosophies with it, but me, nope, not a fan of loose pages. All right, cool. So I've got my assignments there, the different page types. I can put my quizzes there, whatever. I'm gonna put an assignment, create the assignment, your portfolio. All right, great. Add item. And true to what Webbs was saying, all the pages generally look the same, even though they have different functions. You can add your rubric here. I'm not going to do that right now. Edit button. And come on, edit. There we go. Edit button. Cool. Place your portfolio here. Excellent. You can create a group if you want to. I'm going to say this is worth 10 points. You can, I mean, all this stuff is stuff you want to deal with. Now, go ahead,
I
Les.
think this goes back to the discovering a new tool thing. So if you slow down and read what's there and check out, okay, submission type, that makes sense. Like, what different ways can people submit a thing? And then if I click the drop down, it shows me, oh, there's no submission, which seems kind of weird, but whatever. An online submission, an on paper submission, or an external tool. So if it's online, now I choose that. Here's all my options. If I choose paper, then I can select that and see all my options. If I choose external tool and that changes, then I see all my options. Like, you can, if you slow down and take your time to click through each thing and see what's available and kind of make inferences, really big on inferences, making inferences, you can make some inferences about what that particular feature is used for, and then go from there. And then if you were to save this as is and it doesn't come out the way you would expect, just either edit it or delete it and start over again.
Right.
But there's no need to panic over what's here. Just slow down and read what's there, and usually it'll kind of walk you through the process.
So the two things you're going to want to deal with is either online or external tool. An external tool could be like any number of different tools that we can get into that later on, but online is the simplest way. Great. You can have the kids type the stuff in there if they want. You can have them put a website URL in there if you want. They can upload media recordings. They can annotate. They can upload files. So unlimited attempts. If you don't want to have unlimited attempts, you can say, yo, we have limited attempts and you only get 3 tries. All right, great. Group assignments if you want peer review where other kids are going to look at somebody's work before they have to turn it in, you can do that. You can assign and put the due dates and all that kind of stuff in there just for kicks and giggles. I'm going to put a due date in there. I'm going to say it's due Friday. All right, that's going to be available from tomorrow until Friday. All right, cool. I'm going to save and publish. All right, cool. Everyone gets it. That's as long as they have it to do. Great. Let me go up to my modules and make sure this is published. It's not, so I'm going to publish it. Great. I'm going to go back.
Wait, but it had your portfolio had the green check mark. So what do you mean it's not published?
What do you mean? Oh, the module wasn't published.
Oh, so if an assignment is published, but the module that it's in is not published, then you wouldn't be able to see it.
Yeah. So
okay.
That being the deal, if this is under now again a freestanding page, you hit save and publish. Hey, it's there, but as it's part of the module, yeah, I gotta have that there. All right. The other thing is, if I want to go in here and edit this, I can lock this module as well. That's the other benefit of having things in modules. So if I don't want the kids to go ahead of me, I've got all this stuff lined up for the week. I don't want them to get ahead of me. I can do that as well. That's for another class though. What I want from the portfolio is the URL. All right. That's what I want. Because again, this exists on the internet. If it exists on the internet, there is an address for it for me to be able to get to it. And that being the case, I can just copy that. All right. And now this is the importance of the backwards assessing. You have to know what assignments you want kids to do, build those in the Canvas first. If you don't build those in the Canvas, this whole idea doesn't work very well because suddenly you're scrambling. So I've got that.
But wait, well, if I have, so wherever I put that link, doesn't it mean that now anybody on the internet can see my assignment?
Of course not, because that is the beauty of Canvas. You have to be enrolled in the course in order for that link to be viable. So again, this is another reason why that's super dope. First of all, Clever. You can't get into Clever unless you are enrolled in the class of the teacher, and you also can't get into the Canvas course unless the same thing is true. So you're still totally secure. You're benefiting from the security of both of the programs. A kid can give that link to their buddy that goes to another school, and that buddy would not be able to utilize that link because they're not actually enrolled in your course. That's the other kind of dope thing about it. All right. So if you notice here, this is again the reason why you want your syllabus page to be your home page. Bada bing, parent person, kind of looking at what Webbs was saying before, receipts. That's due. That was the date. It's going to be due Friday, August the 20th, 2021. What is it? Your portfolio. When does it due? By 11:59 p.m. Automatically, and you'll see it on their calendar as well with the due date. If I highlight it, you see how that highlights? Bada bing. That's the way you should organize your Canvas course. Your syllabus page should be your home page. Syllabus page, home page. Syllabus page, home page. Don't get into, even if you do the little dumb Bitmoji thing and stuff like that, as long as you put your Bitmoji on the syllabus page, you're good. If you start to hide this, you are and we had a conversation. I'm not going to bring up the entirety of the cursive thing. There's no reason to put undue barriers on your user to get their jobs done. Make it as easy as possible for me to be successful. And that's when, again, one of the befuddling things about education, it's like, we got to make it difficult for you to do very simple processes, like find your assignments, which makes absolutely no sense. Here are my assignments. There you go, Bob. We're good. All right. So we copy that deal. Inside of Clever, I'm going to move myself because I'm right over top of this. So I'm going to move myself right over top of Webs. You will see that add button. All right. You are totally in control of Clever here as well. So I'll click that add button and I can add a page. Adding the app, I can add different websites and all that kind of wonderful stuff. But adding a page, I'm going to click there, Mr. Lang's page. I can add students to this page anytime I want. I can change I can personalize my little avatar up here and all that kind of wonderful stuff there. I'm going to have to move Webs now too. This is the opposite website because usually stuff is in the left-hand corner. Now things are in the right-hand corner. So you'll see that add button there. So I'll hit that add button and I can choose a category. So first I'm going to do that. I'm going to say this is going to be Unit 1.
By the way, but even this site, if you look at it, the corners are like your anchor points, right? So actions tend to be anchored in corners, whether it's the lower right or lower left. Upper left, you have your logo, which will take you to your home site. And upper right, you have your little account person emoji icon. Your navigation bar is all up at the top. Navigation tends to be up at the top or on the left. So like even this, if you've never been on this website before, it follows a lot of the same patterns of every other website.
So your classes, all your kids are up here. So if you hit that classes button, you're going to see all your students. So I'm hit that add button again, and I'm going to say, I want a link. I'm going to paste. Bada bing. I'm going to say that is,
portfolio assignment.
Portfolio. That's going to be in Unit 1. I can upload my own account if I want to, or I could say I'm going to designate that when kids see the pencil, they know it's an assignment of some sort. Add link. So cool.
I think that's an important thing to call out is keeping those icons consistent. So whatever icon you use for assignments, keep it the same. Whatever icon you use for discussions, keep it the same. Whatever icon you use for something they have to read, keep it the same. That way it's very predictable and they kind of know like, oh, I see 3 books. I really have a hard time and it takes me a long time to get through reading assignments. So I'm going to leave some extra time for this because I know that I have 3 reading assignments instead of just 1.
So that link is there now. The kids can favorite things, so they can say this is something that I really enjoy. Perhaps there's a website or something you have kids going to or whatever. But I can go and I can create as many categories as I would like. Or say I changed that and I'm like, I don't want that to be the case. So I'm going to click out. I'm actually going to make that Unit 1 assessment. I can take that, and just drag it up. So that left Unit 1 is in Unit 1 assessment. I'm going to move that down. So I'm going to put all of my, I'm going to put all my tier 1 instruction for all my videos and stuff inside of Unit 1. And then the kids, when they're ready to come down to Unit 1 assessment, and they do what they need to do. Again, there's a number of ways you can do this very, very easily. Now, I'm going to click that. And when I click it, bada bing. What does it do? It takes me directly to that assignment. As long as I'm in your class, and remember, in Clever, I'm going to go back here. Canvas is a single click sign on. Once I sign into Clever, I just push that button because it takes you right to Canvas. All right. But your Clever situation here, it's a lot cleaner. There's not a lot of movement here. It's just buttons, right? A lot cleaner. If you're talking about a kinder student, they can look at, when I see the pencil, I know that's my test. When I see the happy face, I know that's a game I can play. When I see the globe, I know that I'm going to a website. Whatever, you come up with whatever meanings you want. But again, you can also create your own icon. So if they have their own icon, go ahead, Webs.
If I have online math content, I could just add a link to the online math content as one of these things, right? Bookmarks.
Of course. Yeah, as long as it was available online, you'll be good. And again, the kids can all Savvis. So if you're somebody who teaches math, Savvis is all where they all also a single sign on. Let me make sure it's here. I may not have it because I'm not a math teacher. It is a single sign on. So that when it
Khan Academy is in there too.
Khan Academy. So there's tons of just one click, one hitter quitters here that you should utilize to make life easier for your little school age friends. All right. I've added Class Hook. Satori is something I use all the time. I'm not going to start using Clever until week 3 because it's a very specific reason why I'm going to use Clever. But a lot of the students didn't use Clever other than to log in to get the Canvas. Where there's this is a lot easier for you to find tools independent of Canvas than to have to go to Canvas in order to find, how to use this. This is a place where you can keep your tutorials. It's a place where you can keep a lot of your training materials and stuff for your students, and then have them go to Canvas and actually just turn things in and do things. It's a lot simpler interface, in my opinion. All right, because again, it looks more engaging than Canvas does, right? Canvas is something that's used by universities and professional organizations. Great tool, because if we're talking about college and career readiness, that is something that students will eventually have to be able to utilize and navigate. But in terms of ease of getting students familiar with the tool, just linking to stuff. But it's not magic. You're going to have to come into Canvas and you're going to have to build those things out. Biggest piece of advice that I can give you is make sure your core syllabus, even if you don't build any other pages out, core syllabus is the one page, and I build all of the things there so the kids can see the assignments very, very quickly.
You said elementary can't do this, but you were going to show them a workaround.
So the elementary situation is strange, and I'm not.
By the way, the pattern of Clever is also a future pattern they'll see, because we have identity providers in the professional world where you sign into a single sign-on, and all of we call them chiclets because primarily Okta is like one of the most popular identity providers. But you have these chiclets that allow you to use your federated identity to log in somewhere else.
All right, so I'm not a super fan of this, and so I think they tried to simplify it in quotation marks, but they end up making a mess. So if you are a elementary school teacher, you now have, instead of courses, you have subjects and you have a homeroom. So your homeroom really isn't a homeroom, right? So it's quite maddening. Now I can't create classes inside here anymore, so I'm gonna go back to this. Yeah, cool. So you don't have a syllabus page per se anymore. You have this home page. You've got schedule, you got grades, you got modules, you got resources, and there's my modules and stuff like that. And I made this demo quiz the other day because I was messing around in it. All right, cool. So here's my.
Do assignments populate on the schedule page?
You will see them, but look at this. All right, so One of the things I don't like is that this is forcing me to not respect the learner's pace, right? By default, I'm saying these are every day that we have things to do. But I don't have, like, on the secondary side, I don't have to put a due date and a time in order for that to populate on the syllabus. Here you're saying
Even
I
the
have to do so.
wording,
Go ahead.
even the wording, it says nothing planned yet, as though you cannot move forward until I plan something for you.
It's they took the elementary idea of essentially you were going to do work daily, right? Not projects or daily, which is interesting because, like, even as a classroom elementary school teacher, I didn't do things that way. And that was the last time I was a classroom elementary school teacher was 2011. Now we didn't all, like, this is way back in the day. So I say that like that was a decade ago, which is back in the day. Indeed. Now, in terms of this situation, if you manage the home page here, right? So let's say, see how on the left hand side here there is no syllabus.
There's no syllabus option.
So they kind of denatured this, which was one of the less than intelligent things that they did with the situation. All right. So you don't have that syllabus option at all. So the only thing you can do is list the assignments as you build, which is an extra stupid step, right? Building a page that essentially just has your assignments on it, which is irritating for a number of reasons. But you really can't, you don't have any other options there. So I'm going to click the settings and make sure I'm not a liar. I'm going to go to course details first. All right, so this is just a sandbox, so there's nothing in there. Sections aren't going to be. So let's go to navigation. Yep. See, there's not even an option for me to put the syllabus in here. Right. So that, I mean, again, I've only been playing around this for the last 10 days because it's only been around since August the 1st. It is, I would have preferred the secondary version of the product because I could customize that to do what I want to do for my learners. The elementary kind of locks you into this
it feels extra backwards because, like, one of the things that it made more sense to me to do was focusing on, like, this asynchronicity of it all and the moving at your own pace. And this feels like you're now forcing back into that paradigm of we do certain content every single day versus here is the overarching concept. Here is the theme, the unit. Go at your pace to work your way through this unit. And I can support you on that. Versus now it's like, nope, we have to get our 90 minutes of math in. Nope, we have to get our 110 minutes of ELA in.
So essentially you can say your assignments, right? Which is, again, extra layer of stuff. Or the other thing I thought about, because if you want things to change dynamically, if you built this in a Google Doc or a Google Slide or a Google Sheet, you can just embed it on this page, and then suddenly as you update things will pop up. And that's probably the easiest way to knock this out. But again, it's an extra step as an elementary school teacher. So I can do the same thing. I can throw that link in there. Of course, you would want tables or something to explain it or whatever. I'm going to save and publish that. All right, it is now published. It's not published as a link, so let me go ahead and edit that.
I'm surprised it doesn't automatically detect that it's a link and then make it a link.
There's a lot of, like, super beasts I got with how stuff roll. Now it's a link,
Yeah.
so we're good. Let me save that. All right, cool. So that's there. Bada bing. Now I am going to go. No, that's not what I want to do actually. And so again, going back between the secondary and the elementary, it's really confusing because the things I expect to be certain places are not there.
I would say actually that's not even necessarily the root cause of that particular problem. That manage home option is weird because it dumps you on the pages page and then you have to pick the page To make your homepage, but does it even say like make it your homepage?
No, you have to right click. Like before, there was a there. So middle, the secondary option you saw has that big block right here that has all of my options in here, and it will give me the set as homepage. This one I had to right click and then make it my homepage. All right. So now
It's a terrible user experience.
it pisses me off. So now my homepage has that assignment there, but you would have to do some extra architecture in order to say, you know, 3 cells, probably due date, link to assignment, assignment rationale, or whatever if you're an elementary school teacher. But it's not as easy as you would have to actually build the assignments into your deal here, and with the knowledge that this scheduling option kind of sucks because it's only showing this week. So if this was something that I wanted kids to do in a month or whatever, I would have to go and change the scenario to go. It's not, in my opinion, it's not set up the way I would want it set up, or for my students to be able to be successful. Personally, all right, I've got all kind of beef with this situation. I didn't think it necessarily needed to be. I didn't think they needed a elementary version of the product. They just needed to teach people how to set the product up to be successful rather than change the interface. This is annoying.
Does the grades tab show you assignments? No.
I can see my grades here. Oh, which I go.
Stop sharing.
Oh yeah, hold on. Here we go. So yeah, it doesn't. I'm not again. I've only been playing with the elementary thing. Hopefully they look at the product and improve it. I don't see. I think the looking at the narrative of elementary school is fundamentally different than middle school is also a problem, right? I don't think that it is necessary for you to have, again, daily expectations of students. I, as an elementary school teacher last year, did not have any problems using what is now the secondary version of Canvas. Didn't have any problems with it. Also, the elementary version of the product didn't solve the fundamental problem, which was you have 7 classes in elementary school, right? Because it's pulling from IC. So you still have 7 different classes. They're just all subjects now rather than classes. So it didn't fundamentally change the question for me.
Well, and also you're just talking about here's a tool. It's not fundamentally how you change the way you organize your content and the way you're teaching your courses so that it can benefit students who aren't in class, so that you don't have to focus as much on tier 1 instruction. The students all have devices. They have the ability to sign on and go through these courses at their own pace. Like, I don't see any support for teachers around that fundamental shift of how teaching changes when you're trying to design for online asynchronous content.
But because the problem is there's a lot of energy that has to be invested in that at the beginning, right? And you can't do.
But like we've been in this for what, like going on the 3rd school year now, and at no point has anyone said, "Hey, let's take the time and invest in making sure teachers know how to do that." Well, because, I mean, yes, the system is broken. We know this,
and that's the issue. Like what you said, you had a situation in which if you were in a problem-solving organization, right, you would say, all my resources can't be spent just dealing with crisis, right? Some of the resources has been spent with what does this look like going forward, right? Right?
Yes. And to Tammy's question, I would argue it's slightly both. Like, well, I didn't Canvas Tammy said, is that Canvas's job or the district's? And I think that Canvas should teach you how to use their product in the way that it's intended to be used. But also, I would say I would expect the district to also take on their responsibility, assuming that they were trying to do the best they could by their
But
employees and that they had the skills to move forward into this new version of what
but
education could look like.
Okay, to Canvas's credit, and I'm not, again, I will hate when hating is necessary, right? They've got the little Panda Pros thing. It works. You can go and say, I want a 25-minute session with people. They've got the Canvas course in there. There's a Canvas designer for the district, etc. To me, that's not the issue. The issue is, all right, the question is, how do you allow teachers to be successful, right? Creating their own Canvas courses when I don't know how to use Canvas is not allowing me to be successful, because now me as user, I'm frustrated. What is that? Where does that frustration lead? It leads right on back to the little kids, right? Now, this is a tool that I'm either not going to use, I'm going to just dump information inside there and not be successful with it. And now a tool that could have been a boon for everyone is not being utilized in a way that's benefiting anybody. Learning Canvas to me is not the essential issue. It is, how does one pedagogically design for online learning, which Canvas is going to push their own product, right? Canvas is going to say, this is how you use Canvas, because Canvas is in the business of making sure people use Canvas. How do we go and say, there are how many fourth grade teachers in the school district? 1,000?
Lots.
How do we say we need to stop having every fourth grade teacher as an independent contract in the school district and instead have fourth grade teachers plan, this is what fourth grade looks like in Clark County School District, with the tools that are being provided, so that individual fourth grade teacher does not have to do that? Because we are far stronger if we started to utilize, someone knows how to use Canvas in fourth grade. If I know how to use Canvas in fourth grade, Webs, it is just like the partnership that we have, right? I do not waste my time learning how to code crap. Why? Because you know how to code crap. And if I need something coded and built, I was like, Webs, this is the idea I got. Can you build this crap, right? There is no reason in terms of opportunity costs, in real economic terms, for me to waste my time learning how to do that, because I have somebody who can do that for me, right? We waste so much money trying to teach people how to do things that other people already know. If we just went and said, look, this fourth grade teacher and is going to sit with you. This person knows how to use Canvas. You other 30 fourth grade teachers are going to sit in a room with this person. You're going to say, let's build out how fourth grade looks. That way, Susie, Joan, and Judy can actually get about the business of teaching crap. They can just talk to Bob, and Bob can build the thing out. Everyone gets the Canvas course. That's the benefit of Canvas. It can be sent to everybody, so everyone has a blueprint for the situation, rather than wasting the professional learning hours trying to get people from zero to hero when it's not necessary. You wouldn't run a business like that. Well, because you would be wasting money.
This is true.
So that's my the frustration is, how can we, and we're way over. But anyway, the frustration is, again, everyone does not have to be good at all of the things, right? That's the other thing. Every teacher has to be able to do this. Nah, that's not possible, fam. It's not a thing.
And I'm going to agree with Tammy that it's a system-wide issue.
Oh, facts. Big facts. Huge facts. All right, huge facts. But you have enough really highly skilled people in our district that if we sat those people in a room for a year and said, look, you don't go to schools. Your job is to build the curricula for courses the entire year in Canvas, so that people didn't have to do that. We didn't have to have the redundancy of building 366 different schools with 366 different courses for 360. Way too much redundancy. And I would go further. The state should go and pull people from Nye and White Pine and everybody get together. The Canvas is the state learning management system. How do we go and make sure that a kid that leaves Washoe, that comes down to Clark, isn't having holes in their in education because teacher X didn't do this and teacher Y was doing this other thing and they moved things out of order, and An iPhone is 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 an iPhone. The operating system doesn't change because of geography.
Huh. That's interesting.
Okay.
Tammy, can you drop a link to that? She said that's why I organized the canvas of her secondary educators Facebook group so we can support each other.
I mean, just it should be built. And
Yeah, I'd agree. I think that it would be way more beneficial use of teachers' time if they didn't have to worry about trying to like reinvent the wheel all the time, and they could worry about diagnosing students and their frustrations instead of like trying to constantly create content with the 9 minutes a day per teaching hour that they have to produce content.
big facts, huge facts.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it's a situation where there being one unified learning management system for the state, we're moving in that direction. The competency-based learning conversation, moving that direction, it's just a logical evolution from where we are now to say there has to be some pressure mounted from teachers to say it's not possible for us to do our jobs and learn this and that and that and this and this and that. Social emotional learning, be a counselor, be somebody's dad or mom, seating charts, quarantines, this, that. This. Some of this stuff has, and because we have technology, some of this can be automated. This is not 1973 where there is no internet and suddenly I have to know everything. You don't. The first week of school, kids when we didn't have Chromebooks, how many of y'all got phones? Everybody puts their hands up. Look, you're going to log in on your phone to do X, Y, and Z. We can use our phones. Yes, you can use your phone because your phone is a freaking computer. Use your phone. Let's figure this crap out, right? You got a question about that? Mr. Lang ain't answering questions you can Google, fam. How do you spell?
Same way as
Go ahead.
assessments. Yeah, same way assessments, like don't assess on things that can be Googled.
Facts.
It's not great. Tammy did drop the link to the Canvas for Secondary Educators Facebook group if anyone's so inclined to join it. Yeah.
That's all we got, man. Like, so we'll be back Thursday. It's every 2 weeks now, because Lord knows I need some. Didn't we say every 2 weeks?
Yeah. That's not what I made that face for. I have orientation for my PhD program on Thursday. I think it'll be over by the time we're supposed to go on air, but I'll let you know.
Okay, Dr. Webbs. Don't be holding up the hustle, Dr. Webbs. Thank you, Dr. Webbs. Indeed. So yeah, we'll be back Thursday. The clever situation, especially if you're in elementary school, the way that I'm doing all my tutorials and stuff like that, all those will be in Clever, not in Canvas. So if a kid doesn't want to go through all the modules to find how do I do X, just click the thing in Clever so it goes directly to the video that shows you how to use Adobe Spark to do whatever we're talking about. All right, a lot more efficient use of their time, your time, everybody's time. Webbs, any closing parting shots before we get out of here?
I would just say, like, thanks, Tammy. Appreciate that. If this is something that you like, share it in your Facebook groups or wherever. Like Mike said, we'll be here Sundays and Thursdays every other week. We'll be talking about tools to use for Canvas. We're also open to suggestions. So if there's a topic you want us to talk about, or if there is a question you have that we can answer for you, we're here. For those folks who may be just joining us, by the way, because we haven't done intros in a while, I'm Webbs. I spent 9 years in the classroom, and then I left and became a software developer. And so that's what I do now, is I kind of anchor the side of our conversation that is, what does it mean to be career ready in the actual like world today and beyond for careers that are like thought working type careers. And Mike, who are you?
I'm just a teacher person that does teacher person things. So yeah, I'm the not Dr. Webbs person in this conversation.
I'm not a doctor yet.
I mean, speaking into existence. So I'm speaking to existence.
Okay.
All right, it is 7:15.
Anyway, that's all I got.
And I'm hungry, man. We'll see
Same.
you Thursday. We got some other tools that are single sign-on tools that the district already pays for. That you just do your deal, without having to fool with Canvas very much at all, because you probably are pretty good with the tools. We're going to deal with Nearpod in Canvas and not embedding the Nearpod in Canvas, using the Nearpod independent with Clever to avoid Canvas and just use it for assignments. Again, if you didn't get any piece of this conversation, if you're a secondary teacher, make sure the syllabus page is your home page. That's going to make it a lot easier for students to do what they need to do.
Tammy, if you want to connect with us, we are on theintelligenthoodlums.com, and you can send us an email. I'm Webbs at theintelligenthoodlums.com. He's Mike at theintelligenthoodlums.com. And
that's the thing. So, Tammy, look forward to working with you potentially. God bless America, and we got a long week of work to start next week or tomorrow. See you Thursday.